Well, if you've ever wondered what it's like to market off the coast of Mexico, you are in luck. I'm here with my friend today, Debbie White, and welcome to the Seven Figure Builder Show. My name is Julie Baranek, where we help business owners work smarter, not harder, and grow their business to seven figures and beyond. So welcome, Debbie. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks for having me. This will be so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. So for those that haven't had the pleasure to meet you yet, can you tell me what it is that you do with your business?
Yes, I'm a brand and business mentor. I help women entrepreneurs develop a high converting online brand and marketing system so you can earn a six figure and up to your way
Awesome.
income doing what you love doing. And I'm all about ease and all of that too. And a little bit about me that I think is a little unique because I've been around for a while. I spent three decades in corporate marketing, coming up with ads for Fortune 500 companies. And I've also started, this is my sixth business.
Wow.
Some of them have been quite successful. So I have a lot of thoughts and ideas about, okay, how do I start my business? How do I grow my business? And of course, with marketing. So
Absolutely. Yeah, you've got a lot of experience there, and I'm sure a lot of different perspectives from all the businesses that you've had through the years.
Sure. And I'm still learning. I mean, I think that's the thing too, is, just to continually learn. There's so much out there. And this would be fun to talk about some things that you're doing and that I'm
Definitely.
doing.
Yeah, I always say it's the smart people that learn, right? We can screw things up, but you got to learn from it and move forward. Yeah. So tell me, where are you right now?
So right now I'm in my office. I'm in Zihuatanejo, Mexico, and I'm looking out my window to the Pacific Ocean is right there. We're on a cove and it's crazy. And there's a lighthouse of Zihuatanejo is right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible. Yeah, absolutely. And how did you end up there? That's not, the place that most people are right now.
No. Yeah. Well, I was in Seattle, in the Seattle area. I lived there for on and off about 20 plus years. And I do love the area, but of course I made this decision in the winter when it's raining. I mean, that's a very, I think I want to live in Mexico. But I was actually in a group mastermind doing a visioneering workshop, journaling about how we saw our perfect ordinary day, ordinary work day, and just kind of dreaming into that vision. And, I love being guided by things like that. And I started writing things like I'm walking along the ocean. I had a green juice. I went back and I worked a little bit. Then I went for a swim. It was like, well, that was interesting how that just popped out. I don't think I can do that here in Seattle.
No.
So one thing led to another. And we basically sold 90% of our belongings a year and a half ago and moved to Zihuatanejo.
That's fantastic.
Why
so
not?
Is this where you plan to stay indefinitely?
For now, who knows?
Hey, take it as it comes, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's like, I don't want to have any regrets. And I was definitely inspired by my father who passed away recently. And he was the most adventurous, oh my gosh, person that I think I've ever met. And he and my mom actually sailed to Zihuatanejo. It was their favorite destination. They sailed on their boat in the 90s for 5 years down the coast of Mexico, through the canal, all kinds of places. And this was their favorite little town. And we heard about it for years, and I had never come here. So I finally came here on my own and had this magical week where I was coming just to be quiet and read a book, I ended up meeting all these people. I said yes to everything. I was invited to like a party every night. I'm not a party girl either. It was the most random trip.
Yeah.
And then came home and I said to my husband, we got to go back to the Zihuatanejo place. There's something about this place. And it's just been this really interesting, like synchronicity and also magic, but also us saying, why not? We kept saying, why not? Why not do this?
Yeah. If not now, when, right?
Yeah. So like, we're doing it.
That's incredible. Okay. So I have a random question then.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
I'm having flashbacks. Is that what they talk about?
That's the place.
Okay. It's one of my husband's favorite movies. So we've seen it over and over.
That's how it kind of got on the map.
Yeah.
Is that. And then this is the birthplace of LSD. I know, not that I'm doing that.
I did not know that.
Apparently there's a whole story on that. It was in the New York Times twice this past year in 22.
Okay.
So it's kind of this little gem that's just starting to be discovered, I think. But yes, it's the Shawshank Redemption place.
All right. I love that movie. I'll have to tell him. My husband will appreciate
Yeah,
that very much. That's very
exactly.
cool.
Yeah, it really is that cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. So tell me more about how you help coaches. You focus with coaches, consultants, entrepreneurs. Who do you really help and how do you help them?
Yeah, I work with a really interesting mix of women entrepreneurs, and some of them are coaches, some of them are service providers. Gosh, I've worked with apparel brands and even creatives. And what I love doing is really deep diving in what I know it's brand strategy, but it's really getting so clear on what their brand is really all about and their purpose and their target audience and all the stuff that we usually we do those things, but
Right.
typically we do them pretty quickly and then we just kind of roll in and kind of forget about it. It's infused in everything I teach all the way through, posting, emailing, whatever social channel you're on. And what I find is the women that I attract are very purpose driven. Even if they don't know what their purpose is, some people say heart centered. I don't
Yeah.
really use that word, but some people do, and soul led, whatever. But I attract people that want to make a difference. And you really can pull a lot of that in your marketing. And what I find is when we get really clear and we know this is what my brand stands for, it's empowering. Like
Yeah.
these women are so much more confident, not just in their marketing, but in themselves. And for me, that's my personal purpose. That's my personal mission, is to empower women with their inherent gifts that they already have.
Yeah.
And just pull that into their brand and their marketing. And then they'll tell me things like, oh my gosh, it's actually easy to market now. It's fun.
Well, then it comes natural because you're going out of your own mission instead of let me go find my mission statement and remember what it is that I'm trying to accomplish.
So it's very rewarding work and it's really fun to work with people and to see the lights go off, and when the lights go off, they get so excited, so revved up about their work. I mean, and I know you've seen this. It just makes all the difference. So that's what I do. And it's just tons of fun. I have so much fun doing it.
That's so
I
cool.
love it. Yeah.
Now, do you focus more on women in the States or women there or around the world, or
Around
who
the
do you talk
world.
with?
I have clients all around the world, which is amazing. I have clients I'm just trying to think how many countries all over. I've even had clients in Australia and they're on calls at like 5 a.m. or 3 a.m. or whatever.
That's
And you
awesome.
are insane. And they're like, I'm very dedicated. And I'm like,
Right. That's right. That's how you know they want to talk to you, is when they're willing to wake up that early.
Everywhere, all over Europe, all over the Americas. I have someone in South America. I mean, America, all over.
That's
So
awesome.
it's really cool. Yeah.
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 So what do you think in marketing? What makes marketing the most effective?
Oh gosh. Well, marketing is the most effective when you're doing all the things I teach. But if I could just say in a nutshell, when I look at content and people are like, I don't know why my content's not resonating or converting, I can usually look at it pretty quickly and go, I know exactly why. And there's several things. There's several pieces, but what I see, I'll start with service providers. I think the most common mistake service providers make, and it's easy to do, is we get into, I'm putting myself in that category. We get into this, I know what they need. Here's what I want to say. Here's what they need. Let me tell them. And it's they're not even registering it. It's like what dogs hear at like higher frequencies. It's like a whole different frequency. They can't even hear it. They don't even see it. It's like they want a certain thing. And if you don't speak the very words they're saying they want to start with, or listening to like what they actually want, you will miss them. And I mean, I've seen like massive experts kind of fumble and do this. I'm like, whoa.
Time out.
This is not about you. Remember that. You guys know that. Come on. What's going on here? So we have to be careful in that balance of, our audience does want to know us. We do need to build that relationship, but we have to keep it front and center that this is for them. Everything is for them. And it has to be in their language. So I think that's the number one thing that I see happen most often. And then we get into, there's just a lot of things I see. Usually, if you don't really have a good handle on your messaging is probably saying too many things, what I call all over the place. So your audience is confused. They might not even know exactly what you do, and they most certainly don't know what do you specialize in and what makes you different. And I think women honestly, and I think this all boils down to just, especially when it gets into, I want women to differentiate. I think women have a hard time voicing and owning the things that make them unique and amazing.
Mhm.
I think that's hard for women to do. It feels like bragging. It feels like something. It feels like,
Yeah.
it gets into that area, but there's always a way to do it where um it's really in service of of your audience, for them to realize like why and why this might be so important. So that's another thing. And then I could go on and on. Call to actions, consistency, storytelling,
Absolutely.
all of
So
that.
would you think the root cause of that issue there would be not enough market research or just focusing more on their own needs and not really connecting with their audience?
I think I think it's all of that. But what I think happens is we get into this, I got to create this content. And it does seem now like we have to be creating content. I mean, I'm creating it on a daily basis, or I'm
Yeah.
batching it so that I'm showing up on it, on a daily basis, which I prefer. But this constant machine of how do we create this content. And I feel like what's happening is it's really easy for us to just kind of lose the big picture, and we go in under into all this detail stuff because we're teachers, especially if you're a service provider. So we forget that we have to keep it, it's going to feel kind of high level, kind of service of what, and then we're going to sound like we're repeating ourselves over and over again. And that's great marketing.
Yeah.
And I think that's hard for a lot of people that like, well, I want to have this conversation about this deeper stuff. And a little bit of that in here is good, but we can get where we're not connecting because that's not what they were asking for,
Mhm.
you know? I mean, I'm just going to use an example. I have a client who is an amazing health coach. I mean, she's so overqualified in so many ways, doctorates, all kinds of stuff. And she loves to deep dive in all these things and talk about all these, there's so many things she can help you with,
Mhm.
but her audience just wants to have more energy.
Mm.
Okay. So we have to remember, like, meet them where they're at. And then when you're working with them, we can get into all the deeper details,
Yeah.
but we may not even catch them if we're not meeting our audience exactly what they're looking for.
Mhm.
For instance, for me, my audience doesn't know what brand strategy is. They think that's what big companies do, and they don't need
Yeah.
that. They just need marketing that converts. They just need marketing that feels authentic. And it's like, perfect. I know. And so I have to be really careful and not like throw the brand strategy word out, but I come from a marketing background, and I know that that's actually what we're working on, but
Mhm.
that's not what they want.
Yeah.
They want
No,
more
that makes total
clients.
sense.
They
Yeah.
want their
Yeah.
marketing to feel authentic. They want a system that's easy. It's like, got it. That's what they want. Those are the words I use. That's
Yep.
what so we have to be so aware of what they're wanting. And that, of course, requires us to know our audience really, really well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm just thinking my background is from a tech world. So it's very
Yeah.
easy for me to get into tech speak and then people's eyes just glaze over. So it's the
Right.
same thing, but from a, just marketing perspective. So
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once you kind of have that down and like, this is what I'm here to do, then of course there's the thing about, you hear everyone talk about authenticity. It's almost become cliche,
Mhm.
but I also know that if you can thread in what they're wanting with your own opinions, your own personality, show up on video so we can get to know people so much faster. We trust them so much faster when we can see the moving face and the expressions and all that stuff. All of that really just helps cement that beginning stage relationship as they go through, getting to, who is Debbie, to, hey, I like what Debbie's saying, to, yeah, I kind of trust her. Oh, I kind of like her. I think I'd like to learn more from her. I think I'm going to follow her for a while, and it's that journey. So that is really helpful too. I know a lot of women, again, me included, it's not natural just to show up and go, okay, I got this video thing down. I mean, I was terrified of it. I almost didn't
Yeah.
do this business because of that component. But practice, practice, practice. Don't worry about being perfect. But that definitely helps your audience start to relate to you in a much more natural way. And I encourage people to completely be themselves.
Mhm.
And I think some people think, well, I need to take a course on how to talk on video. I'm like, no, you don't. Or I say and I go, yeah, and you sound like a normal person and people are more likely to trust you. I even looked this up and it's true. There's studies that show you that you're more trustworthy if you're speaking in just a normal voice versus like a perfect newscastery voice.
Yeah.
So it's just fascinating to me. But anyway.
So what do you recommend for people to get out of their comfort zone? I mean, obviously to be transparent in your content and what you're producing, you have to get out of that comfort zone, which is scary.
It is scary. I really love, I mean, just out, I do have a group. What I love about that is we do a lot of group reflection.
Mhm.
And when we do group reflection, you can hear from other people basically affirming these qualities about you that you feel funny even saying. And it's like, but you make that difference. It's amazing. Or the simplified version of what you're trying to say. But the other thing you can do, I'll just say this, when the pandemic hit is when I really started coming out as a coach and saying, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And I was so just shocked by what was happening with the pandemic that I said, you know what, I'm going to go live every day for the next 2 weeks and do whatever I can to help people.
Mhm.
Just throw out advice. I didn't even know what my plan was. So I did. I went live every day in a Facebook group. And I tell you what, after day 14, I was like, I'm not as nervous and I guess I can do this. And I think it is like riding a bicycle as far as the video part is just doing it and be okay with, with falling down.
Yeah.
That's how I coach people. Like, just like, get over it. Like, everyone started out crappy and you'll get better. And I think it's so awesome when people go online for the first time and say, this is my first live. And
I don't know
like,
what I'm doing.
I mean, people are so proud of you to like show up and it's, I mean, when I went live for the first time, I had some, silly, cheap phone holder I got off of, Amazon or something. And I got all excited because I used my hands a lot and I was like nervous and I knocked the camera and then it was going like this. And then I'm like,
that's
and
awesome.
then it just crashed. Like I crashed my first, it literally crashed. My phone crashed. I'm like, I spilled my first live, which is perfect because I'm a spiller.
That's so funny.
But, and we all start like that. And you just have to go. You just have to go.
Absolutely. So, fail fast, move on, right?
Yeah. And here's what I like doing. When you get really steeped into why are you even doing this business? Like, what's it all about as far as for other people? Like why, I'm really here to empower women. Right. And I really think about what that means to me. And when I really get anchored in that, I feel like I can do anything.
Right.
If I start thinking about, oh, are they going to think about me? I mean, and mindset is a huge part of this. Is you have to kind of get over yourself, and you have to really understand the impact that you're capable of having, and that you do already have, and that's the North Star. And so I would just really lean into that, and then I feel like I can do anything. Like I'm doing it for them because they need this. So let's go. It's not about me.
Absolutely. And that helps you get over that, trepidation or nervousness that you have. Yeah. Thinking about somebody else.
I still get nervous.
Yeah. It's easy too.
I mean, we're human, but it's not like debilitating. I mean, I have so many stories about my first launches and the silly things I would do. And I look back like, oh my gosh, I was so nervous.
I'm
so
sure.
nervous.
So what's the most embarrassing one that you're willing to share with us?
I have so many.
Flopping your
I'm
first.
kind of a nut. So, I mean, I love to show up, I get excited about things. I'm showing up. Well, I had this, when I first started, I used to do like the long 8-day launch. You guys know this kind of the Kelly Roach live launch method that a lot of people have used. I don't do that anymore. Now I just do short 90-minute master classes. But I was doing this thing and it was open cart day. Y'all know that's like the big deal. And I wanted to wear this lucky shirt I had. And it's kind of an orangey red and it's silk. Well, you guys know silk shows all of your sweat. And
Yes.
when I get nervous, I sweat like crazy. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to wear this shirt, but I got an idea. And I literally stuffed kitchen towels under my armpits into my bra because it was kind of flowy, like on each armpit, did the whole thing and like ended the thing and then took the things out. I'm like, oh my God. And then the next launch, I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to graduate to maxi pads. And then I mean, I literally kept doing stuff. So I tell the story now.
Uh-huh.
I literally tell people this story because a lot of people that join me and work with me are women that it's interesting. They're not really that comfortable with the video.
Mhm.
And I get it. That was me, like I did all kinds of silly, goofy things to like, okay, I dance before I would do so many things to get my mind like, okay, in that space. And now it's not that big a deal because it's like anything, just like how nervous you probably were the first time you got in a car and you went through an intersection and hopefully you didn't stop in the middle of the intersection like I did with my mom and you kept going all the way through.
The first time through.
Yeah. In Houston, Texas during rush hour. I did
Oh,
that.
that's so funny.
I
Yeah, you don't
know.
want to freeze and panic in the middle of an intersection like that.
Yeah, but you might on video and no one's going to get hurt. So
Yeah,
it's all good.
it's a
It's all
lot
good.
safer.
Yeah.
So looking for the year ahead, what is your most life-changing goal that you have in mind?
Well, I'm reshifting my business around quite a bit. Um, First time I've done that since I've really started. So I'm really looking to serve more women. So I have a shorter, less, just really affordable, lovely little 2-month container that I really want to open. I previously only had a year-long program
Gotcha.
that was high ticket. So I'm excited about that. And I'm always excited about connecting and meeting other women out doing what I'm doing. Like Julie, that's one of the things, last year, my word of the year was connections, and this year it's friendship. It's just a continuation.
Mhm.
I really, that's a big part of, to me, what makes this all enjoyable. And the other thing, which I do want to talk to you about, is I've been playing with AI
Mhm.
and I'm seeing how it's going to completely shift everything, even in marketing, but it doesn't take away the need to really, in fact, I think it's even more important to make sure you really have your brand and your marketing messaging and what you're all about really firm. So you don't sound like every other person that's going to be using this.
Yeah, I know.
But that's an automation that is incredible. I know I saw that you're using Jasper. I've been playing around with Jasper and I can already see like this is massive. This isn't
Yeah.
going to go away. And I know a lot of people are afraid of it. It's like robots aren't going to write my copy. And me of all people who literally my career was writing copy and coming up with creative ads for major companies, I'm embracing it because we're having to create so much copy and content. And you can direct it and you can add your own brand voice and pillars and content within it. It's a game changer.
It totally is. I personally love it in that it
Yeah.
helps me get over my writer's block. So if I can't think of what to write, it's like, okay, this gives
Oh
me a
my
starting
gosh.
place. And then you go in and tweak it and put it in your own voice and refine it. And then,
Yeah.
you can move a lot faster, I find.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Just brainstorming alone. I'm coming up with ideas to do for like, PR pitches and stuff.
Mhm.
And so I just writing a couple ideas out and it'll spit out, little fun, punchy headlines, which you need for a pitch,
Right.
And it's like, I wouldn't come up with that fast. Certainly some of these I wouldn't even come up with, it's really an amazing tool. And I think that's where I would say to everyone listening is this is a powerful tool. And if you want a copywriter, researcher, content, sidekick, that's how you need to treat it. You're still in charge. You still need to guide them with your voice and with what makes your brand you. That can't be replaced, but it's a hell of a, sorry, I said that, but hell of a sidekick to have for the price. I mean, one of my clients was like, yeah, but there's a fee. And I'm like, of course there is, but think about what would you pay someone to
Yeah.
create that amount of content? You couldn't.
Yeah. It would cost a fortune. I
It
know.
would cost a fortune. So it's it's going to be a game changer. And I think it's going to be interesting. My only thing I will say, I always wonder about these things because I've been in this marketing world for a really long time. Back when I started, people did pay stub for ads. I mean, it's just so different. I mean, that's how long ago it was. And I just wonder if the expectation for how much content we can create is going to get to the place. I mean, I wonder about that. And I'm going to go back to saying that's why it has to be so on point, because I think we're going to get I think that the quantity is going to ramp up. So the quality really has to be there of what we're saying. That's my prediction. I just think there's going to be a lot more quantity.
I agree. And the quality is the differentiator. I mean, that's what really shines through because it will be masses of even more quantity that's already out there. So I agree with you totally.
People are like, oh no, my email's really going to get clogged up with all these people playing around with Chat GPT and Jasper AI. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my other favorites is otter.ai. Have you seen that one yet?
Yes, we have that too.
I love Otter for transcribing and taking videos. And
we use that on our call. So when our clients, because we do so much brainstorming, we can pull the transcript.
Yep.
And they can just be like, oh my God, there it is. This is so great. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. So many
absolutely.
Cool tools. Yeah. What are your favorite tools?
Oh, I have lots of them. Yeah. That's one of them. Data integrations is huge for me, that I make sure that data is flowing seamlessly from my intake forms to my CRM to, I have a ton of automation that runs behind the scenes. It's, I joke around, but I call it my Jarvis because I'm a big Avengers fan. So it helps me do, all the things behind the scenes and keep things running seamlessly. But keeping that high touch, personalized feel. And that's something that I'm really passionate about is automation can become so impersonal so quickly. And it's so important to have that connection with your clients and not feel like they're talking to a chatbot or a machine or something like that, because that shuts people off immediately.
It does. I would absolutely agree with that. And I can say, I can attribute the success of my business to being very, very high touch. And I was actually interviewed by, I'm not going to say his name, but some big muck out there that's really into conversion rates. And, I mean, that's important, but he's got all the acronyms down. I was looking up, what's that acronym? What's that? It's a very conversion direct selling, approach, which is important. But he was telling me, you have the highest conversion rate I've ever heard of. I don't mean this as a brag, but he was wanting to know. And I'm like, really? Come on. You know a lot of people. And, from people signing up for a masterclass and then converting it, my program is high ticket. And I'm like, okay. So, and then I was explaining things and explaining how I did it. And it really came down to a couple things. Yes, I think the marketing helps. I mean, that's my thing. But the conversion of it, we're really high touch. And he's like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I mean, we greet everybody that comes in. I want to know all their pain points, every single person. I want to get back to them. He's like, you do all that. I'm like, we sure try, and then I see who's on the call and then I'll send them, like a bomb video. That's another great little thing with the little video platform built in an email. It's real personalized. Just whatever we can to build, you don't have a lot of time to build that connection, but it's so important to bring the humanness and the just that high touch into it. And I teach the same way. It's very high touch. I just don't think we can get big transformations, like big wow ahas, if we don't have those one-on-one within a group setting or whatever that is. But you've got to have those one-on-one touch points. But just to your point, the automation's amazing to be able to do these things quickly, but that allows you, I think, to have more time to have that touch, to have that personal touch. But that's where it's at.
Yeah. And that's how I like to use it personally, is to automate things that don't require the personal touch so that it helps me focus my attention on that one-on-one connection with people.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is the future. I think that's people that, are doing really well. I think that's what they're doing. If you kind of look behind this, what are y'all doing back there? They're very high touch.
Yeah, totally.
Mhm.
So what would you see as the next area that you want to automate in your business? What do you think other than the
I
content
want
like
to,
we were talking about?
I'm in process right now of, I mean, I laugh because we all have, if you've been in business a while, you have a lot of lead magnets.
Mhm.
And I'm in process right now of like, I really want to have like a killer lead magnet or a couple and just have those so tight and automated and just the experience be, wow, it feels high touch, when they get the thank you, it doesn't stop there. There's like a little something extra coming and where they really feel like they can get to know me and also give them a lot of value
Mhm.
just to build that connection. I'm really excited about that piece. It's such an important part. I have lead magnets, but I feel like that's an area that I'm going to double down on right now. It's a basic, it's a foundational element, but it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what would you say is a common myth about your job, about marketing, about your expertise?
Oh, a common myth. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I think from the outside, someone could say, "Oh, well, you're a marketing expert. It's so easy for you." But just like we said, it doesn't stop with the marketing. It's taking a client from cold all the way through to the high touch, to the one-on-one, to the phone call, to the whole, onboarding, during, even when they leave. Like the whole customer journey is so much bigger.
Mhm.
And I know this from a marketing standpoint, but I think people think, oh, she's got this one thing up front, but it's the whole system that we're working on and continually trying to improve that makes it all really, really work well. You
Yeah.
know, I think another thing, a misconception that people have about their own marketing, because I hear this, is the amount of time it takes for a customer to convert. When people see your marketing, and this is how it works, and I know it's just fascinating to me too. Well, first of all, it takes about 16 touches with you,
Mhm.
whether it's your marketing, your direct messages, whatever that touch point is for them to get to typically where they're ready to convert. The other thing is it could be years. I have a lot of clients that have been following me since I started, and a few of them finally converted. I'm sure there's still some out there. I think they'll convert at some point.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of like lookers that don't even hit like, don't even respond. And I do that sometimes. I hate to say it.
Mhm.
I've joined a $20,000 mastermind and I didn't say boo. She didn't even know who I was. Like, now how do I know you? And like, I didn't see you. I'm
Like,
like,
I've
oh, I
been
was there.
watching you.
I was the girl in the back that never raised her hand.
Right?
That was me. But there's a lot of people watching us. A lot of people are watching, you listeners, and you're just not seeing it. So just keep going, be patient. And they're not today buyers. Most people are not today buyers, but a lot of them are someday buyers. And I think we forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
the thought I had the other day, because I think the same thing, right? We have to touch people at least 7 times to 16 times, depending on
Yeah.
the studies that you read.
Yeah.
But then there are those times where I'll buy the first time that I see something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was thinking about this too, that I think it can be across multiple different resources where I was looking at for something. And so I had those 7 different touch points on different
Yes.
resources that I couldn't find
Great.
what I wanted. And then I
Mm-hmm.
saw what I wanted. I'm like, oh, that's it. And then I bought. And then I'm like, wait, I wasn't even looking for that today, but
It's
I purchased
true.
it today.
No, it's absolutely true. And it's interesting because if you really get granular, I think the best marketing obviously is really strategic, but it feels completely fresh and
Yeah.
original, right? And then there's what I call, it's not what I call, I mean, a lot of people call this, there's the energy behind it.
Mhm.
And I work with this fabulous mindset coach, and it's really changed my game on just how I approach life. And she says this all the time, and I agree with her. I mean, at the end of the day, people are buying, they're buying your energy, they're
Right.
buying the dream you're painting, they're buying the idea of the transformation for them, but you're delivering that message. So we really do have to watch our intention, our energy. And I don't mean fake energy,
Mhm.
but that's just being really aligned in what we're really here to do and getting just amazingly excited about it.
Yeah,
That's a big part of it, a really
totally.
big part of it. Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. I am very into horses, and I have a horse and have learned over the years liberty training, if you've ever heard of that. But it's opened my eyes a lot to the whole energy conversation of
Oh, okay. I
being
rode when I
able
was a
to,
teenager, but
yeah. Well,
yeah.
this is being able to train your horse, completely off topic, but
Is it
related
energy
nonetheless.
with the horse?
It is. It's teaching your horse to listen to you without any ropes or force or anything else. And it's all
I've
based
heard
off
about
of
this.
your body
Yeah.
language, your
Uh-huh.
words, your connection
Mhm.
with your horse. And it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of time, but he can read my energy from across the field. Like as I'm walking up, he can tell if I'm tense or if I'm, distracted or, like we'll be walking along and I don't have any, ropes on him or anything. And as
Wow.
soon as I pull out my phone, he goes off and he does something else because he knows I'm distracted, right? Stuff
See,
like that.
isn't
So.
that well, first of all, it's amazing, but when you think about it, that makes total sense to me. I was saying I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was a horse lover as a girl, so I did
Mhm.
ride when I was younger. And they do feel your energy when you're on that horse. And that was the first, like they know when you're scared, they
Yeah.
start, like they know. But
Yeah.
what's so fascinating about what you said is this translates, I think it's a beautiful analogy to we can feel. I know you guys have seen people on video and you can sense things.
Mhm.
You can feel them. You can pick up on the subtext. And yeah, it's really fascinating. And so confidence is a big part of that. And some people are like, how do I get confidence? And I mean, I pull it all back. It's a combination of mindset and really just being so firmly rooted in what you're really here to do and knowing that that really does make a difference for other people. And why tamp that down? Why hold that back? So that combination and then getting things strategic and then you know what to do is
Yeah.
you go gangbusters.
Yeah. That and just getting to a point where you don't care what other people think, like being transparent with yourself and
Yeah.
just putting yourself out there and getting out of your own way. That was kind of
Yeah.
my own realization recently is I need to just get out of my own way.
We all do. I mean, and I still do it. I still do it. I still get in my own way. I'm not nearly like I used to though. I'm
Yeah.
much better about it now. Much better about it now. But I feel like that's probably the number one thing the women I work with, well, I think we can all agree on is we all get in our own way, whether that's fear or I think we all tamp down ourselves a little bit to
Mhm.
make sure we look a certain or appear a certain something.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you look at people, I mean, just turn the sound off and scroll. And there's some big influencers or big personal brands out there. They have a presence. I'm not talking about how they look either. Some of these people aren't what I'd call traditionally beautiful,
Right.
right? And there's
Yep.
a presence, and it's because they're so into what they're doing, or they're passionate, or maybe in a quiet way, but they're so real. Whatever that thing is, it's like we're drawn to that. And it's like we need a new word for authentic because it's been overused, but they're just showing up,
Yeah.
like, hey, you're my best friend, or you're my dear friend out there, you Cameron, like I see you, I know you guys, and like let's get real. I mean, that's the vibe that people are like, yes, I want that.
Yeah. And that's what draws people in.
Yeah.
So if you could go
That's
back and give yourself, your 18-year-old self, one piece of
oh
advice, what would it
God.
be?
Oh, don't worry so much. Just stop worrying. Stop worrying and go get some mindset work done. Like, don't wait till you're in your 50s.
Right.
Oh, I just worried so much about things that don't matter, and I remember I worked corporate until I was 28, and my grandmother at that time, I made all these really cool cards and stuff. I'd take, my husband's a photographer, I'd take his photos and I'd make handmade cards and I'd do all this kind of crafty stuff. And she's like, you really should start a card line, and I'm like, oh, I couldn't do that. And I look back, I started 6 businesses after that. At some point, I finally did
Wow.
start businesses, but when I didn't think I could. I didn't think I could do a lot of stuff back then. And I've gotten a lot more. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. But it took a long time. And I
Yeah.
just, any woman watching this, no matter what your age is, I don't care if you're, 22 or you're 81. I've had a client that was 81, by the way, and she's
That's awesome.
amazing. You can. If you want it, you can. If you want it. You
I believe it.
absolutely can. You're capable of so much more than you even realize.
Yeah.
And I wish that I would have understood that.
Well, and harnessing when you find those people that believe in you, even when you don't,
Yeah.
taking that energy and owning that,
Yeah,
I think is a great
exactly.
start.
Exactly. And that's why I love working with a whole bunch of women, because we not only lift each other up, but we really do become stronger together. It's
Mhm.
such a cool thing. It really is. So I don't think we're supposed to have this journey all by ourselves. And I'm a big believer in working with others that can really specialize and help you get to that next step, get to that next level that you desire from someone that's done it. It's good.
So, at what point did you look at your business and consider it a success?
That's a good question. You know, there's so many definitions of success. One could be, okay, financially. I've had several financially successful businesses. I've had several multi-six-figure businesses. I've had a seven-figure business. But you know what's sad is when I was in them, I'd have to stop and really kind of realize, like, oh, I was so hard on myself. I didn't look at that as success. There was always more. There was always like, well, but I haven't done this yet. I'm not as big as that yet. And that's too bad. That's where I wish I could go back and tell that person, like, appreciate it, celebrate it.
Mhm.
I was always on to the next, on to the next. So, but what I've realized now, success isn't just the dollar amount. It's really, it comes down to, are you satisfied? Are you making a difference? Do you feel fulfilled in your mission and what you're doing?
Mhm.
Do you have a balanced life with your friends and family? Are you putting all of those things first? That's success to me. It's changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching in the quiet, from the outside, of course, one of the big name coaches who has multiple six, seven, eight-figure businesses publicly closing down a business because of time that, he was the only one, the only driver in that business. And at first I'm like, really? Like you're so successful in this and yet you're shutting it off. But then I get it, like much respect for people that can do that, first of all, but
Yeah.
choose to do that because of a
Yeah.
deeper purpose and
Mhm.
realizing that, you only have so many hours in the day and it's up to you to choose how you're going to spend them.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And we have to have balance, or, uh, you know, I think most of us choose, having our own business for the freedom.
Mhm.
And yet, if we're working all hours
Right.
in the nights and the weekends,
Yeah,
then you have a very expensive, job, basically. It's not a real business, like separate. And I just refuse to do that.
and
So,
setting those healthy boundaries both for yourself, for your clients, for your business, for your
yeah,
family,
yeah.
protecting that time and,
It's
interaction
so
with your family.
important. I just, and the other thing is, I don't, we have to have real life experiences to be a great marketer. To just, I just think, I think we have to get out there and really live and really have really great life experiences to bring that into our businesses. I mean, you could look at that way, like, my business is really important. I'm like, well, if it's really important, you need to have those life experiences to
Yeah.
feel it if you're not going to do
Yeah,
it for yourself first. To really
absolutely.
flip that, because it's really true. Um, and if you don't, you're going to burn out. I've seen people burn out. It's not pretty. I've seen so many people completely burn out, unplug, stop their businesses, not have any income for a year and a half. And you don't have to do that. And the key is not to get yourself to that point
Right.
where you're just running on empty. You got to take breaks and know that, some of this does take time, and really look at what are the biggest levers I can pull and where's the fat I can trim so that I can have balance in my life.
Absolutely. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Hmm. I hope I'm remembered for really empowering women to live the life that they really dreamed of living. That is everything to me.
Mhm.
And I hope that's what it is. I have been told this by clients, and it's pretty amazing. But that's what I want to do.
That is, I would say that's one of the highest compliments you can get from them.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what can people expect from you next?
Well, I'm going to just be doing everything I can to empower women with marketing. I mean, and do it in a way that this world is changing. It's changing fast. And I'm always looking at ways to do it simpler, better, and more distinctively unique to you and your brand. I'm always going to be looking at how can I do this? How can I make it even better and simpler for people? So,
Awesome.
yeah.
And how can listeners support you in your work? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I'm at Frankly Deb. So that's like frankly, my dear, at Frankly Deb. And that's my handle. That's my website as well. And I always have fun little freebies and all kinds of things. You can check that out on Instagram.
Awesome. And I will have the links down below so you can click on those and check out Deb. And what is one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
One final thought is I encourage everyone to just really lean into what is possible instead of looking behind about, well, that didn't work or this isn't working or just all the negative things. It's really easy to tell ourselves every single day and really lean into what is possible because so much really is truly possible for each and every one of us.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Debbie, for coming on today. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
Me too.
And make sure to follow us at sevenfigurebuilder.com and hit us up on the next episode. Look forward to seeing you guys soon.